Okay, guys, the weather is a little scary today, but I am in Varna, not in Varna, outside Varna, at Midland High School to see another production of The Little Mermaid. I just saw Stark County's last 1 week ago today. It's funny, this is the second time I'm seeing a different version of a show, a second version of a show, and both times they've been literally 1 week after the other. But these school shows, man, I'm telling you, tons of people get here early. So even though I'm more than half an hour early, I gotta head in because there's tons of people here. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, time to talk about The Little Mermaid. This is the second Little Mermaid that I've seen this year, but the first one was The Little Mermaid Junior, and this one was the full show. I did not realize that going into it, but I'm thankful that I got to see the differences between the regular show and the junior version of the show. And also, just even if they were the same version, I was still excited to see the differences between how they did things, like the costuming and the staging and stuff like that. And there were some similarities, but there were a lot of differences. And I didn't think that one was necessarily always better than the other one. There were some things that I thought one school did better. There were some things that I thought the other school did better. One school, I knew some of the actors in the cast. This school, I knew one of the faculty members that helped with the props, and her kids are my students, and one of her daughters was actually the one that let me know of the show because I didn't know about this. So, similar yet different experiences. In terms of differences of the show between the junior version, there's just there's a couple more songs. There's not a lot more of the dancing element. I really liked that inclusion in the show versus the movie, and I had kind of hoped that there would be more of that in the fuller version, but that was pretty similar. Scuttle gets a song in the full version that he didn't get in the junior version, and there's just mostly it's little extra stuff. I think Ursula gets a second song. I'm comparing notes here. Ursula gets a second song that's not in the junior version, and there's a reprise of it later, so she gets a little bit more to do. This one is split between two pages. That's interesting. Interestingly, they both seem to be a similar length. I did write down the times, but I don't have it here with me. But the one I saw second started very late. I want to say more than 10 minutes late, like 12 minutes late. So I think it felt longer, but I don't think the actual show was any longer. Trying to see if Flotsam and Jetsam, I don't think they had a song in the junior version, and they do in the longer version. I mean, this is stuff you could look up if you're interested in it. I'm just trying to point out some of the highlights here. The first version that I saw, both of them used both high school and middle school kids, although with the high school one, it seemed more obvious to me where the middle schoolers were integrated. It seemed like a lot of them were brought in for the Under the Sea number, whereas in the second show, they seemed to be a little bit more spread out, so it wasn't like, oh, these are the middle school kids. It seemed like they were more integrated into the rest of the show. Which, again, I don't think one of those is necessarily better or worse. I think they're just different approaches. The costuming, the second show seemed to make more of an effort to have accurate costumes. And by that, I mean, they gave the mermaids tails. Like, they were kind of flared on the bottom so that they could still walk. But in the first version, they just wore pants. Uh, so in the second version, it was a skirt that then flared out so that their feet could walk. So like it looked more like a mermaid tail. You know, whether or not that's important to you. Like I said, I don't think one's necessarily better, just different approaches. Um, Flounder in the second one, they did a little bit more work to get the pattern of the striping, whereas the first one was mostly just going for the color scheme. But first one I saw, King Triton, he was wearing a shirt that was a bare chest, and he's bare chested in the movie, so that was more accurate. Whereas in the second one, he kind of had armor and stuff on. Both of them used a pretty puny trident for their prop. I would have thought at least one of them would have had like a big, mighty trident. Flotsam and Jetsam in the first one that I mentioned, they had the flowing like tulle fabric or whatever. The second one, they were just kind of waving their arms, which looked a little strange. So, again, I don't think one show was better than the other. I think I personally preferred certain elements of one and certain elements of another. So I'm very glad that I got to see both. Ariel did great in both. It was interesting because the second one did the mermaid look closer to the movie, but the first one did the dress human look closer to the movie. There was a subplot about Ursula's shell, the source of her power, that was in the second one that I don't remember being in the first one, but there were some mic issues, so it's possible that it was there, and I just don't remember it being a big deal. Like, I feel like I remember at some point Ariel grabs, it's like a necklace, to get her voice back. But in the second one, it was like a big prop, and like there were whole scenes about how that was the source of her power, and so it's a big deal when Ariel breaks it. So little things like that are different. I talked about the backgrounds with the first one and how I couldn't figure out the geometry of them or how they worked. For the second one, I know there's a Greek name for the three-sided, like a triangular prism platform. I don't remember what it is because it's Greek. I've heard people call them Bennies and Betties, or Betsies. Bennies and Betsies. But they had 3 different scenes on, but they also used rehearsal cubes to kind of accentuate and do different scenes, which the first school had done also. I will say, for me, the biggest... maybe I don't need to say that. I don't know what I'm trying to say. In terms of musical numbers, I thought Under the Sea was a stronger showing at the first show I went to. Because like I said, that's when all the middle schoolers came out. And it was like a big moment. There were a ton of kids out on stage. And the second one, they didn't have that. But it had a very long, extended dance sequence. Which I don't particularly care for those. But Kiss the Girl, I thought was done better in the second one. So Sebastian's 2 big songs I got to see done different ways, and one of them was better than one of them was better than the other. I might be a little biased because I know very little, but I knew the person playing Sebastian in the first one. I didn't know anybody in the cast in the second one. Les Poissons, I thought was a longer drawn out scene in the second one. There was like a big chase sequence, which I thought was pretty funny and interesting to see them interact with the sets and the props. So that was, so like some of the extended stuff I liked, some of the extended stuff I didn't care for. So again, this is the kind of thing that I feel like most people would be like, why would you see the same thing twice within a week? But it's not like watching a movie twice in a week, which I've done that before also. But I like being able to see different ways that different people do things, use different methods of creativity to accomplish the same goal. I I talked about for the last Little Mermaid, like the strange stage setup that they used. This one also used a non-conventional stage setup. This gym I'd been to several times because at my last school, I coached cheerleading, and we played several games and tournaments at that school. And also, I once filled in as a coach for a volleyball game, and that was the gym that I coached a volleyball game. So I've been to that gym plenty of times before. It never registered to me that there's not a traditional stage, but there's like a raised area on one side where the bleachers are. So they just pushed all those bleachers in, and that was their stage. So it was very wide, but they had curtains brought in to kind of focus it up more. And then all the chairs were sitting like sideways along the court rather than looking down at one end, like is more common around here. But all the times I've been, I was looking around like, where did they set up the lights? And I'm looking for the big T-bars that a lot of these smaller productions or school productions I've seen have had. And I finally realized that the lights were just up in with the regular gym lights. And I'm like, all the times I've been in this gym, I never realized those stage lights were up there. So that was kind of cool. So it's cool to see a place that I had been in different contexts used in this different way, and like knowing how it's been used for basketball and knowing how it's been used for volleyball, to see it transformed and how it's used for theater was really cool. So I know I didn't really talk a lot of specifics about this show, but like I just did for the other one, and most of the story things are the same. They still had some mic issues just like the last one did, but I would say with this second one, maybe it was the setup of the room, maybe it was the projection of the kids, but I feel like even when the mics weren't working properly, I heard more the second time around, whereas in the first show, the mics were cut out, I couldn't hear them at all, which was surprising to me because I wasn't that far away. But yeah, so good to see, especially with a show that I like, right? Little Mermaid is a movie that I like, is a story that I like. So it was good to see two different versions of it. And I think that's about all I got to say. Kat didn't come over today. She's sitting on her bed looking out the window. It's snowing right now. We had a blizzard, and I thought the snow was done, but then it started up again. So I'm staying warm today, and I think I'm going to hop on Tubi. Shout out Tubi. And see what sticks out to me there today. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.